Would you like an opinion on a financial matter you're dealing with? Whether it's about retirement, investments, taxes, or 401ks, Scott Hansen and Pat McClain would like to help you by answering your call. To join Allworth's Money Matters, call now at 833-99-WORTH. That's 833-99-WORTH.
Welcome to Allworth's Money Matters. Scott Hansen.
Pat McClain, thanks for being here.
That's right. Both myself and my co-host here, both financial advisors, certified financial planner, chartered financial consultant. We've been doing this program for almost 30 years now.
Yes.
As we're coming into Labor Day weekend here.
Yes.
And although the markets are slightly off their high, it was amazing. I mean, how quick the recovery was.
I ran into a friend of mine, and he said, the markets are hitting all-time highs. And I said, well, yes. The market goes up 53% of the time. They're going to hit all-time highs fairly often.
That's the point.
That's the point. Right? Because if they didn't hit all-time highs fairly often,
then you'd just be living for whatever dividend may or may not be
the earnings of the company. But as the dividends go up, the value of the company, as the earnings go up, the value of the company goes up. But Scott, I want to talk a little bit about EVs. Ford Motor Company in the last couple of weeks wrote down a $1.9 billion investment in EVs. And you see these car companies step in, and when you write something down, it basically says, I've invested all this money.
And we have no chance of recouping it.
And it's gone. Yeah. It's lost. It went out in wages.
So we're letting everybody know that
yeah,
this investment, we're not going to get, because companies talk about making investments, whether it's investment by hiring a bunch of people, investments by building new factories or whatnot. And they make these investments with the expectation of getting a return. And when it looks like they're not going to get the return, they say,
Yeah, and so that obviously has an effect on not only the P&L, but the balance sheet because of the way accounting rules work and how you capitalize investments in your own business. But what I thought, I was thinking about this, like, you're a car company executive 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Well, you know why
Tesla,
this is.
Yeah, but you see Tesla, and you think that the marketplace is going to continue to go this direction. But
that's not what drove them to this.
And well, that's right. What was it?
It was government strong hand.
And not only that, incentives.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say what you want about Elon Musk. In my personal opinion of Elon, I will keep to myself. But the guy is pretty brilliant about using government subsidies.
That's how he started solar and started the cars.
And SpaceX. He's not getting the government subsidies for X.
He's going to get the astronauts back home, apparently.
Twitter. He might.
I hope somebody does.
But so.
And what's your point is what?
Well, that it's going on like NVIDIA. I've been getting these phone calls from clients saying, hey, do we have AI? Do we have AI? Like, that's the hottest new thing.
Yeah.
And electric vehicles were the hottest new thing. And things will be the hottest new thing for a period of time. But the market doesn't always come to the hottest new thing. There's early adopters, right? If you're a consumer, you study a marketing, curve. There, you've got your early adopters, and then you have your late adopters, and then the mainstream adopters. But the product's never really.
And I've never been an early adopter.
I am not an early adopter of most things. I mean, most things. But until it hits the mainstream, where the bulk of the consumers start consuming it, you really don't have market. The market isn't established. And so all these companies I was thinking about made bets on
consumers buying electric cars
because the government was encouraging it.
Yeah, it's not helpful, though, when, like in a state like California, when last summer it was hot and the governor asked people could you please not charge your cars today? So, the gas station's open, and there's like 20 of them within a mile of your house.
But you can't charge at your home. So my point being is, going back to the investment side of it, The bright and shiny, we talk about it all the time. The bright and shiny, the bright and shiny. Don't get too caught up in the bright and shiny, including AI.
Well, the question is, so we'll take calls here in just a moment, but I was thinking about medical marijuana here. So I have lots of unique friends in my life, and I don't always agree on all of our values, but we share enough other values that I enjoy them for who they are. And so I've got a good friend that when he has a massive indoor grow business of marijuana, of cannabis.
This is
weed.
fascinating. I had no idea. A friend of yours.
He doesn't really talk to me about it because it's not.
Because you're pretty conservative.
Well, I don't use weed and don't. Anyway. Whatever.
Mary
maybe,
Jane.
Huh?
Mary Jane. Grass.
Yeah. So anyway, he was telling me this years ago he was going to get into the marijuana business. And I said, be careful because this is one of those hot investment topics right now. And what happens if an investment looks like there's going to be an outsized return, capital floods that investment, it becomes an oversupply and prices decrease.
Ask any winery owner in the United States or South Africa or Australia or the world.
And I heard from a mutual friend that the business isn't going so good. I don't really know. But my whole point is that whether it's AI or EV
or marijuana
or whatever it is, if there's an investment that appears like this is going to be an outsized return, oftentimes one thing, first of all, prices are sometimes already bid up on those investments to negate whatever excess return. It's already built into the price.
Yeah, people that are selling, someone's selling that, or if you're building it, it's the prices to assemble that are going to go up. Yeah. So it's but the reason I was talking about this, I was thinking about that, the electric vehicles and that, and then
I personally don't like it when the government gets them. I like the whole CHIPS Act. I mean, Intel's had been a disaster, and they were one of pushing through they got all these billions of dollars in subsidies, and yet now it seems like there's a glut of a certain kind of chip, but we don't have enough of another kind of chip.
Well, that strong hand of government, but don't get too excited. And by the way, so the clients that I've had a number of them call and ask, so do we have AI?
They're calling out.
And I say,
I'm trying to think. You've had a couple conversations. I don't think it's every week you get 3 or 4 clients that leave you a voicemail.
No. I don't have that many clients, but the ones I do, it comes up in a third of the conversations. And
that's because their friends are bragging about it, and they want to be able to say, "I own it too."
But they do own it. If you own the S&P 500 or the total market, you own quite a bit of it.
Or just about any other large cap U.S. stock.
You own not only AI, but you actually own the benefits of AI. So
yeah,
but I just found that the Ford writing down that $1.9 billion. I'm thinking there's some CEOs that their heads are on the line because they made these strategic decisions.
Well, my quick EV story, then we're going to talk to Stuart, Art, and you.
Do you own an EV?
No.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to them by any means.
No,
it's for me, it's like, so here's my experience I had in the last year. I'm at the airport. I call an Uber. It's in the late afternoon. I'm hoping to get home in time to take one of my kids somewhere that night. And this guy picks me up in an electric car. Great, whatever. And he says, "Oh, sorry, do you mind? I need to get a charge. Is it okay if we stop?" And I said, "Well, do you not have enough charge to get me home?" He says, "Well, it looks like it's right on the bubble here." And I said, "Don't you have the ability to accept or reject a ride?" I was nice as I could be. Yeah, but
I'd reject it. Did you reject it?
I'm already in it. I'm leaving the airport.
Oh,
so. I'm like, okay, I guess. He says, we'll just do 10 minutes. I'm like, okay. So we pull off to where he's going to get it. They're all out of order. So they're not working. So he gets back on the freeway, starts heading back to my house. And I'm about 40 miles out from the airport. And he says, I think we're good. And I could see on his phone how many miles, and I could see on the car how many miles. And they're about the same number.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, well, this will be kind of interesting. And so I'm watching as I said, hey, you sure you don't want to try to? He says, well, no. He says, I think we got it here. I think we're going to be okay.
Holy smokes, I'd be filled with anxiety.
So we're getting to my house, close to my house. I'm watching this thing getting close to zero. Literally, we turn onto my street. The car dies, completely dies. And I'm he's like, whoa, this never happened to me before. So then he waits a few moments and starts back up. He makes it to my driveway. It dies again. I'm like, sorry, buddy, I gotta go. So I'm thinking, I wonder what happened. He said he was going to have to call a tow truck. And so I leave a few minutes later, taking my daughter somewhere. There he is on the side of the road. I come back like an hour later, he's still there. I finally went and I got him some water from my house to give him a bottle of water. He waited, I don't know, like 2.5 hours for a tow truck, flatbed tow truck. I don't know why I'm telling this story. It's my EV experience. And if you own an EV, look, I have nothing against them. I will probably have one day.
I have friends that absolutely love theirs.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It seems like everyone.
I just can't imagine me driving more than 50 miles and having to stop someplace for 20 minutes.
Well, I know myself pretty well.
Oh, I would just could. I cannot.
If I'm waiting, I get frustrated enough how long it takes to fill the tank.
Oh, when my kids were younger, I'm the one that they're like, hey, I need to go to the bathroom, Dad. I'm like, no.
Well, you had 4, too. Like, I'm sure you'd stop. 30 minutes later, another one says.
Okay.
All right. Hey, if you want to be part of our program, you can send us an email at questions@moneymatters.com, questions@moneymatters.com, or you can call 833-99-WORTH. We're talking with Stuart. Stuart, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
Hi. Thanks for taking my question.
Yes, sir.
I listen to your podcast all the time. You're one of the, I think you might be the only show that actually take questions, and that's really a good thing.
Well, thank you.
So I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's because we really don't have that much to talk about.
Otherwise, it'd be an 8-minute podcast. Yeah. What'd you do this week, Pat? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, nice. What can we do to help?
So we have kind of consolidated over time our 401ks, et cetera, into three IRA accounts. We have what's called on the brokerage places a rollover IRA. We have the traditional IRA, which is essentially after tax. It's got some basis to it, and we have Roth IRA. So,
and are you retired? I'm sorry, you retired?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're both retired. So I'm 68. Wife is 61. I'm collecting Social Security. She not yet.
Okay.
And so we have IRAs and we have brokerage accounts. And so for the IRAs, I was wondering what I've kind of did a little homework search around on the internet and stuff, that the rollover and traditional, the IRS, they don't really care. That's basically, they just say, hey, you got an IRA and won't care if it's rollover traditional.
I mean, the taxation is treated the same.
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And you mentioned like your cost basis in the traditional.
That's where I went.
It's really cost basis in all of your IRAs.
Yeah. So what
Right.
is your cost basis in your traditional?
So let's see. The traditional, may I just give some figures? Or
Sure.
Yeah. So the rollover in my rollover is 600,000, traditional 100,000, and the Roth is 300,000.
And
you got a lot in Roth relative, yeah.
Yeah, and what's your basis in the traditional?
My guess is it's around 75.
Is your basis? And did you convert some of your?
Yeah, we've done some Roth conversions in the past. On mostly on mine because I'm 68.
Okay.
And is this traditional in your name or your wife's?
So this is my art.
Okay.
The figures I just gave you are mine. So for hers, it's 700,000 in rollover, 200,000 with traditional, and 100,000 in Roth. So her Roth is lower.
And does she have a big cost basis in her traditional as well?
Roughly, it's probably half of that. I didn't write down. I'm just kind of going from memory here. So it's probably 100,000.
Okay.
And she's still employed. Is that correct?
No, we're both retired.
Okay. All right. So so this brings up a couple of really interesting questions that we have for you, but what's your question for us?
That's right.
My questions, I was just trying to simplify stuff. We've just going through, we're retired, getting older. I want things simple. I would just like to push those rollovers into the traditional, just, transfer or combine or whatever it be called. So I just have two accounts to worry about, traditional and Roth. And from what I've read on, you search around the internet, the IRS doesn't care about that for tax purposes. When you do the Roth conversion, they just say total IRAs. They
That's
don't
correct.
care. So then it really shouldn't matter for me, for our purposes, if I did that and, just combine those two accounts.
Well, there is a difference between the two, right? If a rollover, and this is relatively recent, like in the last 10 years, well, relatively recent for an old guy, right? For an old guy, is that rollover actually is protected from bankruptcy.
And outside creditors, not just bankruptcy.
And outside creditors.
Yeah, up to what, $1 million?
1.5.
That's 1.5 now, okay.
Yeah, 1.5 and some change. So,
but your own contributions are not. So, worst case, this is about the same chance of a meteor hitting your house, perhaps. Right?
That's right.
You put these things, you combine them together, you end up in something bad happens, someone sues you, they go after all your assets, and frankly, you would have to back out and say, here's the portion of this IRA that they would have to try to make the argument that this is now subject to creditors because it's commingled. You'd make the argument that say, no, the vast majority came from the rollover, so it still should be protected. And
so that's the downside. So I assume you have an umbrella liability policy that's fairly large?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd combine them together.
I'd combine them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd combine them just to ease.
Now, if you were still employed or your wife were still employed, I would make the argument to put that back into move the rollover to the 401k again, or 403b, whatever plan you had available to you, and then convert that traditional. Or maybe even take some additional money from the traditional and move it to that 401k so that you can convert your cost basis and do a Roth conversion that.
But that ship has sailed. Yeah. When you converted the right,
unless you want to go back to work.
Well, no, that's right. So I learned that after I did it.
Yeah.
After we rolled the 401k over, I was thinking, and I actually had an advisor, and I said, what about this pro-rata rule? Should I do the conversion before I roll the 401k over? I said, no. So. Then I have to check, and I said, okay, well.
Well, they were wrong.
Yeah, I know that. I know that now.
They were wrong.
They might, or they were unethical.
And why?
Yeah.
Oh, because it would take many years.
Even with fee-based advisors, there are conflicts of interest. So one conflict is if you kept your 401k where it was, the advisor most likely wasn't getting compensated to manage those dollars. If the 401k got rolled over to an IRA, they can start receiving compensation for managing those dollars. So that right there presents a conflict of interest, clearly, right? Now, maybe the advisor didn't really know or appreciate the great conversion opportunity you had in front of you. You're a very unique situation with this high of cost basis in your IRAs, which meant many years you took non-deductible you made non-deductible contributions to your IRAs for many years.
Right.
Which is unusual.
Yeah.
But it created a great planning opportunity that was.
Yeah, especially probably in the first year or two that you retired.
Yeah.
So when you did convert from the traditional to the Roth IRA, you did take into account your cost basis, and you did it on a pro rata basis, I assume.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah. It's really diluted as far as you get more conversion for a given tax dollar if you.
That's right.
Yeah. They're a perfect scenario for it.
That's right. I convert my traditional IRAs the day after I convert them. I make the deposit the day after I convert them to a Roth. So that's funny because Scott and I when you were going through the numbers, we went to the same place with this without even.
Well, it's such a unique planning opportunity.
It is.
It's not.
It's pretty unique.
It's pretty unique. We've seen it plenty of times over the years, but it's still.
Yeah. So, unique. But I don't see any reason that you wouldn't convert. the rollovers in the traditional together.
Okay.
It's
okay,
just it's
great.
the bankruptcy and the creditors going after you. But the assumption is, I'm guessing, your mortgage is either super manageable or paid off.
Oh yeah, the no mortgage, so the house is fully paid. Yeah.
And my guess is that you don't have a lot of consumer debt.
No, none of that.
And you probably have a $2 million umbrella liability on the house.
The total is probably more than that. It's I kind of went for total assets, so
Yeah, good.
so it's somewhere around 4.
Perfect.
Have to
Yeah.
check. I think that's it's the house and the the savings here
Perfect.
combined.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So
All right, Stuart.
I appreciate the call.
Yeah.
Wait,
thanks a lot, guys.
wait,
Yeah.
but would you?
What?
Would I still convert over to the Roth IRA? What's your total family income?
We're in the. I did some Roth, so we were in the 22 bracket. So the income is probably around 90 or 100, and I did Roth conversions last year to kind of get into that, whatever that limit is in the 22 bracket. I'm just so I will probably this year. I would probably do a Roth conversion this year to get us stay in that 22% bracket. And then after that, maybe after all that paperwork's done, there's no hurry to do the Roth. I mean, the rollover combined.
That's
with
right.
the traditional. I was just thinking, I was doing this plan, and should I, put that kind of on the things, schedule things.
Well, it just makes one less account to deal with.
Yeah,
and a
that's
little
all.
easier to manage.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you're doing the right thing. Look at the Roth at the end of the year and see if it makes
And
sense.
by the
for
time you have required minimum distributions, then you'd probably want them in one just to make life a little more simple for you. So
appreciate the call.
yeah, and Pat, we briefly talked about umbrella policy, and I think it's one of these things that is sometimes overlooked. And as your assets grow, it's important that you have some outside insurance to protect you, because you get in a bad car accident. Let's say it's your fault, and let's say like horrible situation. You're driving to work, and there's some young surgeon who's jogging, and you hit the guy and kill him. And like a horrible accident, right? The first thing an attorney's going to do is do an asset search to see if you have any money. If you have no money at all, then it's like, well, what are the limits on the insurance company, and let's see what we can get. And some attorneys might even say, I can't even take the case. There's nothing to get there. But if you've got a lot of assets, they're like,
This is good.
this person's got a lot of assets. We're going to be able to recover some money for the family, the surviving family. And so the larger your assets, the more subject, the greater at risk you are for having lawsuits, whether it's something as serious that or something minor like a kid is over at your house swimming and slips and hits his head, or grandkid's friend.
Yes. So the umbrella liabilities are a big deal, and as they go up,
The chance of you using them is slim, but the protection is enormous.
and it's not that much. To move from $1 million to $2 million isn't twice the cost. To move from $2 million to $4 million is not twice the cost. It gets progressively lower as a percentage to the cost as the bigger the policy, because although there's risk there, there's less risk to the insurance company.
Yeah. So if you haven't reviewed your umbrella policy in a while, I would encourage that. We would encourage that.
Yes.
We're talking now with Art. Art, you're with Allworth's Money Matters.
Hello. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hi, Art.
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
Yes, thank you.
I had some questions, and it's kind of, I'm going to give you a little bit of a history about what my questions are about. Okay, first of all, I'm going to be 62. I'm retired. I'm a retired former California state employee, safety employee. So I've been retired for 9 years, and I draw a pretty good pension. Earlier this year, my wife passed away.
Oh, gosh, sorry.
And she was diagnosed with ALS, and it went pretty quick.
Oh,
but anyway.
Wow.
So as part of this, when I notified PERS, they said, hey, well, because of a life-changing event, you can change your benefits. So now a little bit more about this. I have 3 daughters.
Your benefits in regards to medical, or benefits in regards to your pension?
The pension.
Okay.
the way I had set it up when I retired was that if I passed away before her, nothing would change, and if she passed away, nothing would change. Same amount. So
It's called a joint and 100% life
survivor. Yeah.
Exactly. So they asked me if I wanted to change it, that I had a year to do it. So one of the things I had looked into is that a little bit more history is that I have a son who's 40 years old, and he's disabled, totally disabled. He's been disabled since he was 2 years old, and he lives in a group home. And I know back around 2018, I believe it was, they had, I guess, some laws changed about special needs trusts. So the survivor benefit for him is if I pass away, he would get about half of my pension in a special needs trust, and it would not impact his benefits that he's getting from the government.
Okay.
Part of that, it would impact everything. So, and the other part of it is I have 3 daughters, and I'm thinking about changing the allocation of my pension benefits so that they have survivor benefits upon my death. And it wouldn't be that much for them. It'd be probably around $1,200 a month or something like that.
$1,200 anyway, between all of them.
No, each.
And how many children do you have?
It would be three daughters.
And I thought you said that you had a 40-year-old special needs child.
Yes, I do. And he would get about half of the pension as a survivor benefit, according to the PERS people.
Okay. PERS enables you to change your survivor beneficiary to...
Yeah, but your pension would go down substantially, would it not?
You know what? Based on the formulas that I did, it would go down about $1,200 a month.
And what is it now?
What's that? The pension?
Yes.
Right now, it's right around $9,600 a month.
Okay, so
it would go down to about 84.
Okay, and so what's your question for us?
Okay, here's my question: is that I have about $500,000 in rollover IRA, of which that is about 20% of it is in a CD that I purchased about a year ago at about 5.5%. So it is going to expire this coming month in September. So everything else is 100% equities. I don't have nothing else.
I'm sorry. So how much did you say you had in CDs?
100,000.
Okay, so it's
20%.
Okay, all righty.
And I have about 220,000 in savings accounts in an online savings account that's drawing me 5.25.
Okay.
Interest. So anyway, here's my question. My question is that I'm thinking about doing this so that I can leave something for my daughters, because they would draw this like $1,100 to $1,200 a month until they passed. And but again, my health is pretty good. I may live another 20, 30 years. So,
Yes.
Versus doing something like that.
Yes.
I thought about putting the extra money that I have monthly just into a regular brokerage account and letting it grow that way, or changing the beneficiary to so that they could get something upon my death.
Okay.
Now the other one is that I have, like I said, over 200,000, and if I did something like that, would it be worth converting some of that other money over to Roth and using the savings account to pay the taxes on?
Yes, maybe. Right? So you're talking here, and what are you living on a month?
Pat, I'm totally unaware that you can change.
There are certain ones you can. There are resets on them. All they're doing is they're just recalculate a new life expectancy with a different beneficiary, like it was day one, Scott.
Yeah, but there's that. Yeah. I mean, there's adverse selection that happens in that process. So it's
correct.
From an actuarial standpoint, that doesn't exactly add up. There's
we're talking about a government pension here.
Okay.
So what?
Yeah, there has to be a life-changing event in order to change it.
The beneficiary of the pension passed away. So what are you living on a month?
Right now, I have no debt other than my house. My mortgage payment is real low. It's not that much, and it's paid off. It'll be paid off in about 3 years.
Okay.
I owe about $68,000 on it. It'll be paid off in about 3 years, and I don't use the money that I have because I was able to get a real low refinance here during the pandemic, and so it's like 2.39%, and I'm earning over 5%. So
there's no sense in paying it down.
Yes.
So so what happens is you can't really compare putting the money that you saved into an account
Well, he's just trying to look at how do I best take care of my children,
no, I understand
my
that.
adult child, and leave something for my girl. What's the most economically favorable way to do that? Do I take part of my take a reduction in my pension today? This is what you're asking yourself. Is
That's
that
right.
Do I take a reduction in my pension today so that when I die, which could be today or 40 years from now, sometime when I die, my children will receive some portion of this pension?
Yeah, but you can't really.
Or do I invest? Do I have other money set aside?
But you can't really compare the two because if you started saving that $1,200 and you died a year from now, you wouldn't have gotten anywhere. The only way you could compare that to is if you took the after-tax dollars from your pension and bought a life insurance policy that would provide a stream of income to your surviving benefits. But that has a whole different set of downfalls to it. I got to tell you, I think you should sit down with a qualified advisor and pay for their time.
And run a bunch of scenarios.
Right?
Because you got a lot of moving balls.
And how many other than the three girls, daughters, are they financially stable? Do they need money? Are they doing okay in life?
Okay, that's the other question. Two of them have some medical issues that aren't severe, but they do have some medical issues that could impede them later on down the road. So that was one of the other reasons why I thought about doing something like
I got to tell you, that would tilt me in that.
Yeah. It's a unique situation. You've got a disabled child.
There's nothing you have said in this conversation that wouldn't cause me to want to take that reduced benefit. And
I know. I think the same thing.
There's nothing you have said that.
Even if you said, I'm going to take here's what the numbers might actually work if you said, I'm going to take a $1,200 reduction in my pension today so that my kids are going to have this. And then I'm going to take some of my other money and buy a commercial annuity in the marketplace to make up that $1,200. My guess would be that would be more favorable for you than doing nothing.
I'm guessing you're right.
Just because I don't think it's priced. The underlying calculations, I don't think it's
are priced. They're priced in your favor.
Correct. Yes.
In terms of, so there is
good negotiation at the time of the
contract.
Yes.
So there's nothing you have said that would stop me from actually just converting this thing to a joint and survivor, especially if you're not living on all of it. And like Scott said, even if you are, there's probably other ways that you could fill that gap that are more advantageous to you.
Well, that also, another question that I had on the side of this too is that, I started working for the state back in 1988. So I had not paid into Social Security since before that. And I'm 1 quarter short of qualifying for Social Security. So I had 39 quarters. So, and that was another thing.
Oh my gosh!
You
only need how much? 800. How much you need to earn in a quarter to qualify? It's like $800.
I think it's $1,700.
$1,700.
Oh yeah,
it's nothing.
Were you in law enforcement?
Yes.
Oh, go get a job as a school resource officer for a year.
You don't need a year. Go get a job.
Well, come on, you got to sign up for at least the whole school year. You can't leave them at
you don't have to be at school. You can go.
Anyway,
I was going to say be a bouncer, but you're on the little older side. So
I don't know if he wants to hang out at a bar at 2 a.m. No. So, and by the way, there is some legislation right now to repeal what they call the windfall elimination provision.
But even with that,
you should most certainly. We did it with my mother, who was disabled. And she was 2 quarters short, and it was so little that she went and got a job at a florist for a couple quarters in order to
doesn't
get
need to be much job. Whatever that dollar amount is.
Yes.
Even if I had a friend that owned a business, like, hey, can I work for you?
No, actually, that was the thing. I have a friend that does own a business, and I said, hey, hire me. I can push a broom in your business.
There we go.
That might be your best investment of your life.
That's right. Just because you're so close. So there's a couple of things you should do. One is just go get a job tomorrow, make the money, and the other is you might want to sit down with a qualified advisor, but there's nothing that you have said in this conversation.
It's a really unique situation.
Yeah, nothing that you have said in this conversation that would stop me from changing that benefit and taking a reduced $1,200 a month in order to provide that to your children.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I have no debt. My house
I understand.
Is paid off, and I was taking the reason I had built up my savings so much is every month I was sending $2,000-3,000 into the savings account because I have that much left over every month.
Okay.
After
Even more argument.
So,
and you went through a
you
big,
know, and-
you went through a big life change, right?
Yes.
Which, you know, obviously
Yeah.
not good, but it's a reset. And
I think it sounds
great.
It sounds fantastic. And you think about, being able to leave your kids something when you're gone, like a monthly pension is fantastic.
Yes, because they're not gonna
Blow it all on a new Lincoln or something.
No,
Lincoln.
exactly.
But these kids, who's buying? What kind of kids buying a Lincoln?
It was just, hey, Art, appreciate the call. No, you know what it was? It was years ago. I had a client. He inherited an inheritance, and he went and bought the fanciest Lincoln SUV like the week later. And this guy didn't. It's not like he was loaded to begin with. Like so I've never forgotten that.
The Lincoln Navigator.
We've seen it all, right, with beneficiaries
Yes.
and how people treat their money. It's all over the map.
Yeah,
Like,
you can.
and nothing wrong with Lincoln. I'm not disparaging Lincolns at all. It's not your father. Oh, it's an Oldsmobile, not your father's Oldsmobile.
Yeah, it's a Lincoln.
But that was
it's interesting.
that last call was super interesting.
Well, look, we did mention that they're trying to eliminate the windfall elimination provision, which, by the way,
who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I have feelings about that you didn't pay into it, but you get a benefit. Well,
Yeah.
we'll see
right.
what happens.
Yeah. All right, let's continue on with calls here. Let's talk with Darren. Darren, you're listening to Allworth's Money Matters.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
This is a question that you guys have answered before on your show. By the way, I love your show. Love listening to you guys.
Thank you.
You've covered this before, but it seems like each time it's an individual case, but it has to do with when to withdraw Social Security.
Okay.
My wife and I are both retired approximately 3 years. I'm going to be 65 in October. And she is currently already taking her Social Security.
And how old is she?
She is 67.
Okay.
And did she start on her full retirement age, or did she start before then?
She started at full retirement age.
Got it.
Okay.
And our account is professionally managed, and the advice that I'm getting from our account manager is to delay and wait. We might as well wait on me taking my Social Security just because it's just basically cheap insurance going forward because we don't really need it at this point. But from what I've heard from you guys giving advice on this matter, it seems like I should be taking it now.
What's the account balance in retirement plans and outside of retirement plans?
Total is about 3.8.
And do you have any pension income?
I do. I have about $67,000 a year in pension.
Yeah. So plus Social Security. Now we're well over $100,000. When you had required minimum distributions, dividends, interest, and stuff.
In 10 years.
And the 3.8, how much of that is in retirement plans?
Just over three. Just over 3 million.
So let's.
And so the advice you got was to let that $3 million continue or to start spending down some of that and letting your Social Security defer your Social Security.
Of the non-qualified, I have about $735,000 in a non-qualified account, and I'm actually withdrawing some of that right now, just because I am helping one daughter change careers and paying for some flying lessons for her, and
Good.
then we've taken out about an additional. We're paying taxes of about $28,000 to move, which is a whole nother subject, but moving monies over to a Roth.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
That makes sense.
Thank you. You were scaring me there for a little
The
bit.
Roth conversion, I'm totally on board with.
Makes a ton of sense. So let's think about this full retirement age, right?
And here's why this question's difficult. you're asking about Social Security. We can all run the numbers based upon current assumptions.
Right? What a return will do on your
Life
investments,
expectancy.
whether you should take Social Security or not take it, what happens to the account balance. So when we run these pro formas, right, these models, what happens is we set an income.
But go ahead, Pat.
Well, we set an income level of you're going to take the equivalent amount of money out of your Social Security. Where do you end out of your account?
But
where do you end up?
These models also assume that there's no change to Social Security.
Yes.
Right? And we know statutory in 10 years, whether it's 9 years, 11 years, but the Social Security Trust Fund will be depleted, and it's mandated in there. There's across the board reduction in benefits. It's like 22% right now. Across the board reduction of benefits.
It means
If Congress does nothing, that's what's going to happen to Social Security.
if you're getting $1,000 a month and you're a 78-year-old widow living in a subsidized housing, your income is going to go to $780 a month.
That's what is in the statute today.
But Darren,
And so
who's worth over $4 million, owns his home and is got a pension of $67,000 a year.
what the assumption that we need to make, the only reason you would delay Social Security is if you believed that Congress would not allow this reduction of benefits to go through. If you believe that Congress would step in, say we're going to, and they've got the votes, we're going to step in and we're going to make sure that everyone is whole. That's the assumptions people make today. If they by every month you delay, you're making that bet.
You're saying, I don't think there's going to be any change in legislation.
There will be change in legislation. It'll be to fix the problem that's going to occur.
Understand, but by you delaying, you're saying the status quo will continue forever.
If I were
I'd take it in a second.
Yes. My concern is that it's 9 years out. We're about to hit this cliff. There's debate in Congress. We need to make people whole. Then someone says, well, wait a minute. Why do we need that? Why does Jeff Bezos need to get Social Security? He doesn't need it. Well, if Jeff Bezos doesn't need it, then
There's a line.
wherever that line is, right?
Where's the line? So
And nobody knows.
and
Nobody knows.
Of course. And by the way, this full retirement age thing, I had someone ask me, a friend asked me about full retirement age and survivor benefits. The full retirement age, if we absolutely believe that there'd be no change in legislation, we wouldn't pay any attention to the full retirement age. We would just start taking it at age 70. The only thing the full retirement age is allows you to work, to make wage income and still qualify for 100% of your benefit. That's all the full retirement age does.
Well, and the formula is based upon that, though. There's a
Understand.
reduction or an increase based upon if you take it earlier or later.
But the increase in the reduction is the same after the full
That's
retirement
right, yeah,
age
yeah.
as
I get it,
before.
yeah.
So it doesn't, right? So it makes no difference other than the fact that. So I got to tell you where
This is just so these are opinions. So you called for an opinion.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
I'm 61, right? My wife is 61. She'll qualify for Social Security at age 62, as will I. But
You're still working.
I'm still working.
So you can't take it.
I'm not going to take it. She'll take it the minute she qualifies. The minute she qualifies. In fact, that's what really attracted me to her. It's this lifetime benefit of Social Security. So the opinion is, if I were you, I'd take what I could get when I could get it.
Because your required minimum distributions are going to be hitting about the same time. You're going to be 75 the same time Social Security. You're going to.
It's not going to, Scott. It could happen much sooner than that.
Oh, you mean a reduction for high income?
Oh,
or additional
bet.
taxation or surtax.
Yeah, they're talking about the windfall elimination provision, getting rid of that.
How are they going to pay for that?
How are they going to pay for that?
That'd be one way.
Right?
Right, and clearly, like you said, the reality is that they're not going to cut everybody across the board at the same percentages because they're going to have to take care of that woman who doesn't have much income at all. They're not going to cut hers the same percentage.
That's our
They're
belief.
going to cut somebody.
Well, no, this has got historical precedent.
I know it.
right? If you've listened to this show at all,
Just the way the taxation of the benefits
taxation, when I started in the industry 30 years ago, Social Security wasn't taxed. And
now 85% of the benefits are included for taxable income if you have
on incomes of a couple
a
of
livable
over
wage.
$44,000, not adjusted for inflation. Not adjusted for inflation. 85% of the benefit could be taxable. So if I were you, take it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, want to let everyone know that we are having some special time in the studio. Pat and I are coming in the studio for a couple hours just to take phone calls. And so if you've got a call that you think, I wonder what those guys' opinion would be for me, would love to talk to you. It's Thursday, September 5th from 9 to 11 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, Thursday, September 5th, noon to 2 Eastern, 9 to 11 Pacific. To sign up, go to questions@moneymatters.com, questions@moneymatters.com. And that's all the time we've got. It's been great being with you. This has been Allworth's Money Matters.
This program has been brought to you by Allworth Financial, a registered investment advisory firm. Any ideas presented during this program are not intended to provide specific financial advice. You should consult your own financial advisor, tax consultant, or estate planning attorney to conduct your own due diligence.